This is Hot Mike.
Hot Mike.
On the networks of WDAY.
WDAY.
Here's Dom Izzo. It's that time. An author.
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2, I forgot.
Golfer.
It'd be like going on a 3-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
And one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4! I should have yelled 2.
All right, here he is, folks. Jeff Kolpack joins us each and every Monday at 10 a.m. to start a new week after what was a electric weekend of North Dakota State football news. Let's start first. You were man of the hour. You were in Pierre with Sam Getzinger on Thursday. You've been to a couple of these. We went to Chicago many moons ago to cover Carson Wentz getting drafted 2nd overall. We were in Hankinson a couple years ago. Where's this one stack up on the list of watching the NFL draft?
Very Hankinsony, I guess, if you will. These guys like Cody and Gray, and the question was, why didn't they go to the draft in Green Bay? I guess my best answer is they would rather poke their eyeballs out rather than get an Armani suit and get paraded in front of thousands. That's just not their style.
Yeah.
And Gray's style is to be at home with his friends and family. It seemed natural, seemed right. He seemed in control. We talked to him in the afternoon at his house. Very relaxed. Mm-hmm. Very relaxed. Yep. And this was obviously before the draft. And, once things went down and happened, and then, it was just, he was a million miles away, an hour. But that's the way it is in the draft. When you get picked first round.
Oh, man. I mean, we had Carson. Remember, Carson did his press conference because obviously he was there. We got him for maybe 4 minutes, and then he was gone. That was it. Like the one-on-one kind of thing. And that was whisked away after that.
Yeah, and Gray had 1,000 obligations afterward. And, the team and the club and who knows.
And the team,
media.
You got to do media with the team.
Media.
Yep.
And so, and then the next day I was on, you talk about the media. So I was on the ESPN, Seattle ESPN radio.
Okay.
For
big timer. Thanks for doing this show. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And so my brother in Seattle goes, afterward he goes, how come you didn't correct him? I go, what are you talking about?
Oh, how they pronounce?
He said Bison. I go, well, I got bigger issues to figure out and talk about than to correct the Seattle host on Bison.
Yeah, you got to fight. You got to fight the battles there. On
they
that.
were amazed, the host, on the fact that Gray did not take hundreds of thousands of dollars in the portal.
Yep.
They repeated the question, and there's a silence. I go, yeah, amazing, isn't it? And they couldn't believe it that he actually would shun that kind of NIL money and stay at NDSU. And I said, well, in the long run, it worked out, didn't it? And then some.
Yeah, he's going to get more than he ever could have gotten in NIL money from now being a first-round. I mean, he's guaranteed that slot there, Jeff, is at least 10 to 13 million, if I remember right. Guaranteed.
Guaranteed, yeah. I had the figure now. I forgot what it was. Like, I think it's 16 million.
Yeah, it's a ton of money. He's going to be A-okay. And the neat part about it, the Seahawks brought him out there this weekend. He actually ended up calling one of the draft picks that was in the 6th or 7th rounds. I mean, he's fully embraced it. And then he's getting shown around the Seahawks facility by one Jalen Sundell, the guy he was playing next to a couple years ago. It just all full circle there. It's really neat.
And again, credit to a guy who stuck it out.
No doubt.
In Gray and followed his gut feeling, followed his true beliefs, hung around. It's hard to say no to the money.
Yep.
And so I just sometimes good things come to good people.
And he was there when we were in Hankinson 2 years ago. He got to see exactly what Cody went through. I think he told me prior to the draft he was going to go and talk to everybody. I don't know if he did that on Thursday and Friday before he left for Seattle on Saturday, but if I know him, I imagine he got to everybody that came out to say thanks.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the kudos to the Hankinson Event Center because the party is originally scheduled for Friday. And if you know Gray, if you know the family, they're not going to try to hopefully have it on Thursday. Then what if he doesn't get
correct?
picked?
Yeah.
Then that's not really a big party,
although
is it?
Everything changed. Like when you guys were leaving for Pier on Thursday, the last mock came out. He was at 11. I'm like, this is happening tonight. It's just a matter of when, not if.
But for the sake of planning a community event, you want to be conservative.
Yeah.
And so, but the people, the owners of the event center, which they just bought, I think it's actually a couple who are getting married themselves here shortly, and they opened it up.
Yeah.
And it was pretty full on Thursday. The locals kind of got wind of it could be first round.
Yeah.
And then they knew when Seattle, and actually I think it was said on the telecast, Seattle's looking for offensive linemen. There's this big hush quiet.
Yeah. There's the reaction afterwards. It was pretty darn cool. I mean, we've seen these a few times over. It doesn't get old, Jeff. It just doesn't.
And Pierre's a Pierre. No, I'm
there
sorry.
you go.
Talking
you got
myself
ripped
into
in.
it.
You got roped in, man.
Bison. Pierre. Pierce is a really good football town.
Yeah, man.
Really good.
Gosh,
they know their football.
Yeah.
And we visited with his head football coach, Steve Steele, early in the day. And what a great guy. He came from the college ranks at Dakota State, found a niche community where he can make a difference. He's the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club, which, works with disadvantaged kids after school, underprivileged at times. And you could just see what it meant to him and working with kids meant to him. And to see a guy like Gray, who he mentored and coached as a young kid and turned him into a first-round draft pick, it was pretty cool all around.
Cam Miller also turned away the money. He could have left after the 2023 season and ends up cashing in on that. Jeff, he's drafted by the Raiders. The Raiders are one of the teams I was told that were really high on him. Obviously, you're going to hear from the Raiders coming up later on in the show. He gets picked 2 picks after Tommy Mellott gets picked by the Raiders, which we'll get to in a minute. But we were visiting in the first hour with Sam Herder about this. The Raiders quarterbacks are Geno Smith, Aiden O'Connell, Cam Miller. If you're going to draw up a perfect spot to go to make a roster, the Raiders are right at the top of that list.
And usually 6th-round picks you don't draft them to cut them. So
typically not. No,
typically not.
No, I mean it actually happens more now than it used to. But I don't know how much Tom Brady had to do with this. But Tom Brady obviously is involved in everything they're doing now. Brady had to sign off on this. Just think about that. If you're a Bison fan this morning, that the greatest I hate saying this, the greatest quarterback ever signed off on having Cam Miller.
Why? Because he's a Patriot.
Brady and I are not on speaking terms. So he tormented me for 20 years. But think about that, though. Brady signed off on this to have Cam Miller be drafted.
That's a pretty good affirmation.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say whatever you want about him being whatever kind of quarterback. Tom Brady thought he was good enough to use a draft pick on. That's the end of the story.
And I think going to a guy like Pete Carroll is optimal.
Yep.
And there's something about
Absolutely
Pete Carroll
right.
is just a down-to-earth, a guy who can relate to anybody from Miami, Florida to Solon, Iowa. I mean, I just think that he's that kind of coach. He still teaches a class.
Yeah.
You'll see. It's really cool. But yeah, I think it's a great organization. Cam is in a good spot.
Is your mind going to blow up when he throws in the preseason to Tommy Mellott, who makes a catch? I mean, that is talk about being linked together for the last 5 years from that championship.
And Tommy
game.
as a receiver. Now he ran a 4.39 in his pro day.
He did.
And so a 4.39 with his ability and his, ask the NDSU D-backs when they had the angle on him in Frisco.
They did not. Yeah, exactly right. He's going to make it. He will too. He's a great athlete. I never thought Mellott was a great quarterback. I think Brent Vegan even admitted that.
Yeah, not a thrower.
No.
And we saw a couple throws in the title game.
Correct.
God, he threw it in the ground.
Yes.
Guy was wide open. He threw it in the ground.
Correct. He's a great athlete, and I think that's what the Raiders saw as well in why they used a pick on him. And now the two of them in a preseason game in August, man, that's gonna be wild to see that taking place. So excited to see that.
They're going to have plenty of time to work out this summer and during mini camps and OTAs and all that stuff. They'll be hooking up plenty.
Couple other here. Mason Miller got signed by the Lions. Obviously, there's two connections there with Hank Fraley, who's the offensive line coach. His son, obviously, is the starting center for the Bison. And now Tyler Roll is an offensive assistant with the Lions and certainly knew plenty about Mason to give this guy. So Ada, Minnesota now as a pro football player.
And we think he's going to be a guard, right?
Yes. Yeah, I would think so.
He's got the body.
His arms aren't long enough. Actually, he told us on the show last week that he has skinny legs as well. I don't know if that was a concern. That was asked of him.
Yeah, toothpick legs, I'm sure, as I roll my eyes.
It was asked of him. He's got skinny legs.
315 pounds of toothpick legs.
So he's going to the Lions. I got to give a shout-out to a guy that I think, at least I'll say it, I think you did as well, guy that we weren't sure of how his college career was going to turn out, and now he's got an NFL chance. It's Nick Kubitz. Nick Kubitz was I would say a 3-year starter. From 22 to 24, he and Luke Wirtz were battling out at that middle linebacker spot, and now Kubitz is getting a shot with the Atlanta Falcons. He had a dynamite pro day.
That's where he made his deal here, is with his pro day and his vertical jump.
Yes, at 41 inches.
And some of his timing, and they like, wow, okay, there's an athlete. You got to give an athlete a shot like that.
Yep.
You got to give him every opportunity. When you jump 41 inches at 220 pounds, oh my goodness.
That's a guy that, and I thought at the end of last year, he was really good. He was the guy, because Wirtz was hurt. Kubitz was going to be the guy. And I thought the last 5 or 6 games of 2024, that was the best football we saw out of Nick. I thought he was really good at that middle linebacker spot.
Yeah, and I just not sure if you should rotate going,
I don't think
linebacker.
that's going to go forward. No, I don't think I think that they were forced to do that for that 3-year period. I don't think that's the case going forward.
To me, that's a position like the quarterback where you are making the calls and the signals. And to do that halftime, I just don't think is probably optimal. Now, they had 2 guys, 6-year guys. I think they thought that would be best for all involved.
Yep.
Was Nick better than Luke? I don't know. There are certain situations where Luke was probably better at certain.
Yes.
And Grant would tell you that.
Yep.
Grant also would tell you that. But I think going forward, they'll want the Jackson Hankey type of thing where you want that guy making the calls. You want him out there all game. You just get a better feel for it, I think.
I don't think Nathaniel Staling will be leaving the field. As long as he's healthy, he's going to be the guy out there.
He looked the guy in the spring event or showcase or whatever you want to call it.
Last thing, guy that we have not seen around here for the last couple of years got drafted, Marquise Siegel. And Chris Kleiman told me this when I saw him in Vegas when we were out there for Big 12 Media Days. He pointed right at him because we had Siegel coming on the show. He goes, there's the next Bison draft pick. And he played 3 years, obviously, here, spent the last 2 at Kansas State. You just wonder, Jeff, about that defensive backfield had none of them left. Because Dom Jones got a free agent deal. Courtney Eubanks was a 2-year starter. And this guy obviously went on. I mean, you think of that defensive backfield.
Yeah.
Holy cow. And Siegel obviously ended up drafted by the 49ers.
Well, look on the whole in the last 4 or 5 years of all the draft picks. This program has produced. And all the NFL-type free agent guys.
Correct.
You look at, what was it, 7 offensive linemen?
So the 2 main backups of the 21.
Or Cody Mauk.
The 2 main backups were Mason Miller and Grace Abel of the 21 team that won the national championship. So all 7, the top 7 offensive linemen of the Bison football team, all are in the NFL.
And right now, and except for 6 are in the NFL right now.
Yeah, Jensen was a
Nash
starter.
Jensen is in the UFL.
Yeah, he's gonna, and I imagine Nash is gonna get his way back. But I mean, everyone from Jake Kubis to Jalen Sundell are all playing in the National Football League. It's pretty darn good. Along with the likes of Josh Hayes, who was here for 3.5 years. Siegel was here for 3 years. Each of them got drafted over the last 2 years.
And I think that goes to show how good that South Dakota State team was. Those 2 years.
Correct. Again, have to remind everybody of that. Let's break. We come back. We'll talk about the upcoming Bison football team, the 2025 crew. We saw some highlights of them from the Green and Gold Showcase on Friday. We'll get Jeff's thoughts on that. We come back on a busy Monday morning edition of Hot Mike. We're back right after this. Back here on this Monday morning edition of Hot Mike, back with Jeff Kolpack. One other Bison that got a free agent deal. Eli Mostard is head of the Jacksonville Jaguars, so defense gets represented here as well, along with Kubitz. Eli had we talked about it all leading up to last year, that if the Bison were going to be any good, they needed to be good up the middle. Eli needed to have a great year, an All-American year, and he did that in 2024.
Yeah, and one of the common denominators, I think, of all these Bison guys that go are, what they bring to a team besides their athletic ability. And this was brought up, not to belittle your little show here, but on the ESPN thing in Seattle, that we were talking about the Shadur thing came up. And Schneider, the GM, was talking about this, I think, during the Gray press conference, that, okay, at what point now does character and assessment of attitude come up in evaluating pro prospects? Because now with the portal, you got guys jumping from school to school to school, and it's all about me. It's the all about me era now. And so are these guys like Schneider, are they evaluating players? And when they see a guy jump, is that necessarily the guy you want on your NFL team?
Yeah.
Because, I know it's money and it's big money and it's all that, but there's also a team element, certainly,
no doubt about it,
to NFL thing. At Pete Carroll in Oakland, I'm sure, it's a team thing. So now in the evaluation process, I think, and the hosts in Seattle were on this too, that it's almost like when NDSU in 2009, they got rid of the way they recruited and said, okay, let's go talk to the secretary. Let's go talk to a student, talk to the janitor, somebody. Just don't take the coach's word for it, because the coach will go, they want their guy Division I. Oh yeah, he's great. Yeah. You'll love him. Great kid, love him. Well, then you go to the secretary and go, well, he's been in here a couple times in trouble. Well, those are the guys. Yeah. NDSU has shunned guys that athletically are 2-3 star they could get, but there's some question marks on other things. Those aren't the guys you want. Now, is that permeating now to the NFL level?
No, I think the Sanders thing, and it's been talked to death on every other show. I don't want to spend too much time on it on our program. There's a couple elements there. I think clearly, however he handled himself in the pre-draft process, certainly ruffled feathers in the National Football League.
But my point is, I think that made Gray Zabel even more of a better first-round prospect.
I'm sure it did.
I'm sure he interviewed great.
Yep.
I'm sure he did. That's just the way he is. I'm just a solid background, solid school, solid fundamentals, all that stuff. And he's not going to cause trouble.
Nope. Correct.
That could only have helped him be a number 16 pick in the first round.
I'll go back, though, to something you said to me when we were back from Boulder, that the amount of Tesla cars that were out there, there is something to that. I think there's an element to that certainly with Shedeur Sanders. I do. I sat here, saw him up close. Dynamite player. I thought there's no way he's not a day 2 pick. The fact that he's dropped to the 5th round was the NFL sending a message to, I don't know if it was the Sanders family or to Shedeur himself, that the way that was handled prior to the draft ain't going to fly.
Yeah, we were in the same parking garage as the Colorado players next to the stadium, and my Ford rental looked highly out of place with a Tesla souped-up Jeeps and all that stuff. And now you're going to have, and to my point, I guess,
there's more of that coming.
Now you're going to have players who are going to take a pay cut.
Yes,
correct. In the NFL. And are they going to sulk about it? Are they going to be mad about it?
Quinn Ewers is a great example. Quinn Ewers was a great player at Texas. He left to go to the draft, got drafted in the 7th round. He could have made a ton of money starting somewhere else in his final year of college football instead of heading to the draft.
Well, he should have.
Right? And it doesn't look great right now.
We think maybe Mark Gronowski took that route.
Correct. That's exactly why he went back to college football for 2025. Before we get to the 25 Bison, last minute on the 24 Bison, because today's decision day for Marty Brown. Sean Callahan, who we've had on the show, covers everything for Nebraska recruiting, tweeted this out, and I heard this as well late yesterday, that it's between Miami and Nebraska for Marty Brown's services in 2025. Obviously, being an Omaha kid, that Lincoln may make a lot of sense. I had heard Miami from the start, Jeff.
So did I.
As soon as there were rumblings that Marty was going to leave, that the U was number 1. So we'll find out later today where he's going to go.
Well, he probably won't get as many carries, but he'll get more money. So
there's no doubt about it.
That's the trade-off.
I've written about it. I've talked about it. Marty's home situation. This is about taking care of his family, specifically his mom. So whatever he's going to go do.
You're talking 600,000 or whatever.
Yep.
I'm just throwing that out, but it's somewhere in that neighborhood. We're guessing. It's pretty good, life-changing money.
So the Bison wrapped up spring football on Friday with the green and gold showcase. I put together a mix of highlights from. It's not a game, but some of the players that stood out to me. There was a couple that highlight plays I thought we saw. We got to finally see Cole Payton, and obviously Payton's arm is
great throw there.
That's Jackson Williams, by the way. Get ready for that combo in 2025. 2 Omaha guys throwing and catching with one another. By the way, what do we make of the all-yellow? First off, I buried the lead. What do we make of the all-yellow jerseys? It's happening.
No,
it's happening.
No, bunch of bananas, Dom.
I'm sending that to Craig Bowl when they debut it in 2025.
I thought it would look better.
No, man, it looks good.
All white. Let's get an all-white look.
I think there's some momentum on that, but let's save that for another time. Actually talk about what happened on the field. How about our guy? There's Miles Mitchell, who got a couple loose
He's going to play.
Yeah.
He's going to play. There's no question. He will play, and he will get carries. And he looks the part.
Yep.
He looks the part.
I think you look just a little cut back here and he got into the open space. And now with the running back room the way it is, and obviously the Bison added a portal addition from Kennesaw State today and DJ Scott, I still don't think that changes the fact that Mitchell's going to play. This guy I'm keeping my eyes on. Darius Givens looks like, I said it on the broadcast,
He looks
Jeff,
bigger.
I think he's going to be an all-conference guy.
Yeah, he
he will
looks
be an
bigger to me, too.
all-valley player in 2025. Just the amount of how much better he got at the end of last
I just
season.
think the safeties with him and Ryan Jones are
Yes.
so much more confident after the playoff run.
Nathan Hayes is going to be hard to keep off the field. I'm just telling you that right now. And there's another guy we're going to feature here in a minute. Donovan Woolen is going to be starting at linebacker for the Bison this year.
Yeah, I don't think the loss of Enoch is going to be too big of a deal with
I
him.
agree. Now, the question is, how long do you have Donovan Woolen on your team? You better enjoy it, Bison fans, because at 6'3", 220.
God, he looks bigger than that, too.
I don't think he's going to be.
They'll be bigger at
around here.
linebacker this year. They'll be bigger.
Yes. Better? We don't know.
We don't know, but bigger, and it'll be interesting to see if that makes any kind of a difference.
Defensive tackle's a spot. They made a couple plays. You saw Dutenheffer there. Logan Larson made a couple plays. And I think, and there's Keenan Wilson, I don't know how they're going to. The Bison offensive line did not have its best day on Friday. No. And that's something that clearly we're going to have to talk about as we get into the
I forever have struggled with these scrimmage situations. Was it a good offensive play or was it a good defensive play? Was it a bad offensive play and a good defensive play? Or it's usually a combination of both.
I would tell you, though, the defensive tackles, and that's a spot clearly the Bison are looking to add with Cody Heisman's departure last Sunday. And Polisic told us that after the showcase on Friday. Finding good D tackles is about nearly impossible. With experience is nearly impossible.
Yeah,
in the
because
portal.
the money at the FBS level, and they go deep. They'll take a guy for $500,000 who's third on the depth chart.
Correct. I mean, Cody's going to get 300, 350, and I mean his numbers aren't eye popping. He was great at NDSU, but I'm sure for fans of Virginia Tech, like, wait a minute, we paid how much for this guy? That his numbers aren't. He wasn't a devastator run, but until you see him play,
pretty good. Yeah.
He's pretty darn good. That's a spot there. But Logan Larson, Keenan Wilson, Dutenheffer's back. Jack Hansen made a couple of plays. I think Zadik Vanderpool's going to have to play as a redshirt freshman, which Heisman and Dutenheffer, you remember, did that in 2022. They played as redshirt freshmen on the defensive tackle spot.
Yeah, but everybody lost players. Everybody did. South Dakota just got killed in the portal. South Dakota State, we know of.
Right. Lost 30-some-odd guys when Jimmy Rogers left. Yeah. So, I mean, they're and people are going to see the flash additions. I would caution that, just that there's a reason guys aren't playing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just the roster cuts. If you've been in a program for 2 years at a high-level program and you haven't hit the field yet, there's probably a reason why. And you're not hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you haven't broke through at Nebraska in 3 years and hopped down the portal, I'm not saying you're a scrub, but I'm also not saying that I don't know if you're an All-American in the FCS level.
In today's world of the portal, too, I just don't think FBS schools have the patience and develop.
No,
they don't have the patience developing offensive linemen. They want to get them at 280, not 240 like NDSU.
Correct.
And then build them. They're not going to spend 3 years trying to build a guy. That's not their style. They want, that's called now plug and play.
Yep.
They want somebody 290 right out of high school.
Right.
And if you're not on the field in a year or two, then you just sort of get buried. You just sort of go away.
Correct. And I would say also if you're an FCS All-American, you're going up. FCS All-Americans, we've seen it, are going up to the next level for $500,000 or close to $1 million. That's the way it works. Mm-hmm. You don't go the other way.
No.
That's not how it goes. I mean, just look at basketball as a perfect example of that. If you're an all-Summit League player, you're going for, what, $1.5 million now?
Oh, well.
I mean, that's the going rate.
Yeah.
That's the way it works. It doesn't go the other way. So I just caution, because I know I got a ton of Jackrabbit fans that watch the show and they want to slam dunk. Oh, look what we got in the portal editions. Okay, great. Let's pump the brakes just a little bit, see how good they are.
Yeah, with that 105 limit, and again, we've said this, the 105 to 120 players.
Well, and that's the thing, though.
They're walk-ons.
But we don't know if it's going to happen now. The judges put the brakes on the grandfathering in. So I know I was talking with a couple of FBS coaches this weekend, and they said, well, wait a minute now. You told us we had to, and now we don't have to cut. So all the FCS teams that were hoping for guys to drop down, they may not be there now.
They spend spring football evaluating their roster to cut 15 guys. Now they may not have to.
Correct. Exactly.
Right.
And they're not going to have to. The judge is not going to sign off on this unless it's grandfathered in. And we just talked about it with Sam in the first hour. If they don't, the NCAA will not win in court. That's a $12 billion lawsuit. The NCAA will declare bankruptcy. They have to figure out a way to grandfather this in going forward. That's the whole deal on this. So that's why I thought the whole deal on why they had to have the hard limit on that, Jeff. I think we talked to several coaches. They were just befuddled on why do we have to be at 105? And now,
what's
judges,
that number?
The judges tell them not.
Climate said that in his press conference. He goes, why 105? He never asked us why that number.
Right.
You just throw it against a wall and 105 came up.
Yep.
Why 105? Nobody ever has explained that.
No.
Why it's 105 and not 110, 115?
And now it may not matter because they're going to go back to the lawyers and have to figure this out going forward. Great stuff, man. That was awesome to watch down in Pierre the last couple days. And
for the record, you're better than those ESPN guys in Seattle.
If I know the show you were on, they're pretty darn good.
They're good.
That's good stuff. Thanks for coming by.
Good to see you.
Jeff Kolpack joins us each and every Monday at 10 o'clock. We'll break. We come back. You'll hear from the Raiders, their brain trust, and why they selected Cam Miller in the 6th round of the NFL draft. That's coming up when we return on a soggy Monday morning. We're back after this.